Good morning. We're going to be talking today about Magma for LabTech. Magma for LabTech is a graphing and monitoring tool add-on for LabTech that brings RRD graphing and archival of uh, extensive amount of statistical data on machines for long periods of time, and it provides it to you in an availability to access that data very rapidly. Um, let's take a look at it here. First thing we're going to do is we've downloaded our DLL file. Make sure that you have come over here and unlocked it if it was locked. Open up your LabTech console here. Let's get this thing installed. I am installing this on a LabTech 11 system so you guys can see it actually working on 11. Okay, here we go. We got our little test system here. Let's go get our DLL installed. New plug in here. Let's go to our desktop. There she goes. Perfect. Okay, it's now in there. So let's go ahead and enable it. Okay, before we can do anything, we have to reload the DB agent. This will create the tables it needs in SQL. Give that a second. Okay, looks like that's completed now. So let's go ahead and close this out and shut our console down. We'll need to have the console reload the new DLL. So we can now reopen our console. Okay, now we've got our plugin loaded up and our console ready, so we can now start getting started setting it up. So you're going to find the main manager under View, Magma for LabTech. And as you see here, Magma for LabTech uses a host system to store all its data and to run its background processes. That system needs to be a Unix or a Linux style system. You'll notice here in our set Magma server, the drop down is going to list all the available systems that you have that it can install on. This would all show client systems or any other systems that you may have deployed that are available inside your LabTech server that could possibly run a Magma system. So I would suggest you create yourself either like an AWS instance up in the cloud of a Ubuntu or CentOS system. Very inexpensive to do that. Usually on average for a very small system in the cloud, I believe they give you a micro instance for free for a year. Or if you were to buy the time for a system, you're looking at paying maybe 1 or 2 cents an hour to have that system, which comes out to about $10 a month to run a server in the cloud that gives you an IP address and everything that you need to host a Magma system. If you have a desktop laying around somewhere, an old desktop system that's got a single processor on it, it's got a small hard drive and a little bit of RAM, old XP machine or something of that nature that maybe is no longer being used, would also make for a great little Linux box. You can wipe the OS on that, install an Ubuntu system to that PC, and then put that up on your network and make it available to your LabTech server by putting a LabTech Linux agent on it. And then you could use that as well. So there's all sorts of ways of getting the Magma server process available to you so that you can use it. Once you have a Linux system in your list that you want to use, go ahead and select that guy, give it 2, and set as Magma server. When you do this, it's going to pre-configure some stuff here for you. It's going to leave some other stuff blank. Web user and web password. Since we haven't actually installed Magma yet, this doesn't exist yet. So this controls that. So as you set that information here and save your Magma server, it will actually go out and create that on the Magma server and make that the password to access the Magma services. You also need to have the URL that you're going to be using for that particular server. We suggest that you use a fully qualified domain name, have it registered in DNS so that it's available both publicly and privately throughout all your networks, and that it resolves to the public IP address of your Magma server that you've assigned. The Magma server does need to have a public IP address if you're going to be using this in environments where most of your companies are remote and they're going to be sending their data over to your Magma system, just like they would with your LabTech system. So as you have your LabTech system set up, you need to have your Magma system set up in a similar way. Magma ports are 1984 for all data transmissions and port 80 and 443 for web access to the interface. You will need to have both of those ported out through the firewall if you're having a firewall set up for your server, and make sure that your external IP address and any DNS that resolves to that IP address is being handled correctly. You have the choice of running HTTP or HTTPS. That's based on whether or not you want to install an SL cert on your Apache services for your Magma server, or you want to run it in normal mode without the SSL. Either way is fine. SSL is a little more secure, of course, especially when you're passing passwords and things like that across the wire. It might be better for you in the long run to go ahead and invest in an SSL. Or if you have an SSL for your company for the domain, and you, of course, give this a fully qualified domain name underneath your current domain, then that SSL can be used as well on this machine as well as on any other machines that you're using to secure the services coming across this machine. So once we have selected that, we don't have our base URL yet or our password because we haven't deployed anything yet. So we're going to go ahead and first deploy our Mag server. Now that we have the server set, go ahead and select that. We have three options here. We have verify server, install server, and uninstall server. Verify server basically sets up all the prerequisites that that server is going to need prior to installing the Mag system. That means going out and making sure Apache's installed, that utilities are installed, SSL's installed, LDAP, fping, whois, things of those nature. All these little things that that machine needs, kind of a precursor to installing Magma. It needs to verify that all that's there, and if it's not, it's going to install it for us. So first thing we're going to do is go ahead and select verify server. And as you can see, this is an active display. So it's going to go out and in real time go through the process of configuring that machine. And you're going to see that information here as it pops up. Give it a few minutes here, and we're just going to let this thing run as it goes through the process. Okay, excellent. Okay, and in 34 seconds, we've completely gone through and installed everything that we need to install on that machine. Now, keep in mind, this Ubuntu system was a dead install. Just means a very simple, straight off the CD, no extra things selected, no extra packages. We did not pre-install anything on this machine other than what basically comes out of default from Amazon, which is a very low-end basic system ready to be used. There's no SQL, there was no Apache, there was nothing on it. It was just a base system having SSH access. And it took about 34 seconds for it to go through the process. That was actually kind of quick. Typically, I see it takes about a minute, minute and a half, depending on the type of system and your LT. Keep in mind, this is 11. Their scripting engine's a lot faster. And so the thing's cranking along pretty quickly here. So we've now installed all our prerequisites. We're going to install our Magma server. It will go through and install the Magma server and then verify that the Magma server is actually producing data as it should be. It will all put that information out here on the screen actively as well for you so that you can get through the process. Now, why this is all doing this would be a great time to be setting up the DNS and firewall porting for this particular server so that you have a name associated with it. We're going to finish up here, let it finish its thing here. There we go. Looks like it's going to give it the configurations. Now it's going to crank it up. See if it fires it up all right. Yeah, it looks like it's fired up. And you can kind of see down here what it's doing in the background. Checking for page creation. All right, so it's going to now see if we've got data. It does. Excellent. See, it's now ready to use. Otherwise, it would tell you here that it failed and would give you information on why and allow you to go through any debugging that maybe needs to happen. Now we're setting up the scheduler to fire it off on reboots in case you need to reboot your Linux machine. It will be able to restart. And so in a minute, 28 seconds, we completely deployed the Magma system. Excellent. So we're done with this window. Close that out. Now we're going to come over here and we're going to put in our fully qualified domain name. So in this case, it was I think it was, man. I think that was the one that we used for that. Let me verify, because at this point there should be an active URL. Let me just verify that we do hit a service. And we do. Excellent. Okay, so that is now working. We're going to want to secure it. So we don't want our data just out there browsable by anybody on the web. So we're just like our lab server, our LabTech server. We're going to secure the interface. So we're going to put a server password in here. So just for shits and grins. And here we have the option whether or not we want our mag to be on our primary page here. So we can choose to either set or not set it as the initial load page for our main system here. I'm going to go ahead and set it and save. All right. Give it a second here. It will run and we'll spit out some information here based on what it's doing. There we go. All right. When we save the mag server, it goes through and processes all the clients, make sure that they're getting loaded into the mag server. Everything else from this point is pretty well automated. Now, you do have to set up your own agents because we're not going to know which things you want to actually monitor, so we're not going to assume anything. So you have to set up your own agent, but other than that, it's going to pretty much manage the configurations and everything for you automatically. So you just have to kind of push buttons and go. So let's finish here. It looks like it did. 33 seconds, pretty quick here. See, this thing's really scooting along here. So you'll see here we've got our new pass file created. All the settings were updated. So now we are good to go. We should be able to, and it did create clients. Yes, it did. See, we're working through the different clients, so it created all our clients for us. So let's go ahead and close this window out. We should be done with this now. Let's go ahead and close our LabTech console so that we can get our initial page to load, so you can see that. Because that only loads on initial load of the console. So if everything worked okay, our console should load right up, and we should have a new Magma system. There we go. You'll notice here that it has a match for each of our clients. So it's already loaded our client list up. And under each one, we should have nothing. No monitors or anything taking place at this current time. So we're completely green. Everybody's happy. Now, we want two agent ourselves. Let's add some stuff. We want to monitor some stuff. So let's go in here and monitor stuff. All right, we'll go into our little test company here, and you'll notice that now we have a Magma tab here. And under our Magma tab, we have no agents listed at all. So let's talk about this a second. Our agents, by default, are going to have access to their locations for groups. All right, so as we come in and create a new agent here, all right, you'll notice that it has our groups and our locations already here, loaded up based on what's available. Let's go ahead and close this window down. What's available here, HQ and remote sites. So we have both those sites available to us. But we want more group capabilities. We want to be able to create our own groups and have more groups available to us. So how do we do that? All right, this is how we do that. We go in and look at groups. Currently shows our first two groups. We're now going to want to create some more groups here. So let's say I'm going to be testing domains. So I'm going to be testing managing domains on my network. So for this particular customer, he's going to have a couple domain names that he's going to be managing, and we're going to want to watch those domain names, make sure that they're up and available and websites are working for them and so forth. So let's call a group called domains. All right. And there we go. We've now added domains to our group, and you can see how many agents are applied to each group. Right now we have no agents. All right. So now let's create an agent. Go into agent. And you'll notice that we now have domains in our list. All right, so here's our agent load. Agents can be what we call agent or agent list. We can have agent list can be anything from an agent list device to just being agent list, period. Prime example would be a router or firewall being an agent list device. What's being agent list would be a domain name. We can test domains. And since a domain is going to be in itself completely agentless, no devices tied to that one domain that are going to be monitored for the domain itself. We're monitoring domain name, websites, connectivity, resolutions, things of that nature, quality of service to that domain. And so there's no real physical device tied to that. It's a kind of a review of a service. Things in the cloud that you might be using could be services, and as a service, you might want to monitor that service. Well, that service doesn't come with a particular device that you can identify, so you would use it as agent list, and that could be either a device or a non-device type of monitor. Otherwise, you have an agent monitor, and an agent is a system that has a piece of software installed that is sending us information back. Sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it? You're going to say, well, doesn't LabTech do exactly that? You deploy your little agent, it grabs information and sends that back to LabTech, and LabTech does stuff with it? Yes, it does. We're an add-on to LabTech. We go and collect our own data here so that we can guarantee that it's on a specific timeline and a specific type of data that we're getting, and it's consistently being returned to us in a format that we can then graph and maintain that data moving forward over a long period of time, and we're talking up to 2 years. So you're going to be able to archive all these statistical information on all these computers and services that you're monitoring over a very long period of time and not have any ill effect to your LabTech system. You're not going to overwhelm the database. You're not going to cause the LabTech system to slow down or go under load to support this process. This process is completely independent of LabTech, and as such, doesn't load your LabTech system down. Windows has two different agent types that we can install, and it really is personal preference and what works best for you. PowerShell is a PowerShell-based service It's basically a PowerShell script. You can look and view the PowerShell script at any time, manage it, edit it, add to it. So if you find things you want it to do that it's currently not doing for you, you can definitely go in and manage that PowerShell script and make it do more. So it's kind of flexible. BBWin is a much faster program that does the same stuff, but is not as flexible as relative to editing its own code. It gives you options to write scripts and external stuff on the side that it will execute for you. But relative to actually modifying its own code, it's all written in C. It's very fast, but you're not going to be able to modify its code. You can only use it as it stands. It's a great tool. We love it. I've used it for years. Works really well. Very low power. Doesn't typically don't ever feel it, ever see it. It runs just completely behind the scenes and does its job quite well. Either one works, so it's strictly up to you what you want to use. Here we're going to select what machines we're going to want to install to. Now, Linux machines also have agents available to them. You can also write agents out of just about anything, because the only thing you need to be able to do to make a monitor of a device work is to be able to communicate to the LabTech system on port 1984, passing it a string of data. The string of data has to be in a particular format, very simple to comprehend format. It needs to have a word status with a space, the name of the machine or the device that you're reporting on with a period, the device, the monitor type that you're reporting on. It could be anything. Basically the color and a date so that it knows basically what time this monitor came in, what color the monitor was, status of the monitor, and who it's monitoring for, and what process. Very simple. So both of these applications here provide means for you to write shell scripts and other scripts that tie in and drop data into their directories that they will then ship straight up to the Mag server for you for third-party reporting. So if you have devices or other things on that network that you want to get data for, you can create a agentless monitor and then use one of your Windows boxes to go collect that data and send it over as that other unit, being kind of like almost like spoofing, where you can report as another device. So not only are you reporting as your own self, hello, my name is whatever, I'm giving you my CPU, my memory, and so forth, but then I can communicate with the server on the same machine saying, hello, I am now reporting for firewall, router, temperature control gauge, or anything else that might be available externally to my network that my Windows or Linux systems can reach out to. We're going to run a test and bring that data in and the report as that device up to the Mag system. So the Mag system says, oh, okay, I'll take that information, mark it for that particular device, and away we go. And that data is stored inside of the Mag server. So we can really monitor and manage just about anything we want. Let's get on to installing Windows here. So we're going to pick out a PC here. Once we do, it automatically loads it up. Now, we have automatically by default, we put in a no ping test. All right? Basically, it says don't try to ping this address here by name, because it's going to try to ping it by name, because it's not going to find it internally from the Mag system. So by default, I typically do this unless Mag can actually ping it from the outside world. Keep in mind that's an external test right there, not an internal test. All right, it automatically fills out the IP address of the machine and the machine name, and we get to select a group we want it in. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in its location because it's just a standard machine. And I'm going to set it to BBWin, which is fine. We'll also do a PowerShell one here so we can show you PowerShell. Now, we also give you this external test window. This external test window allows you to assign external tests to that machine that are going to take place from outside. That means the Mag server is going to produce those tests. These are tests that do not require agents, so you can use this at any time with or without an agent installed. And it will go out and test things like web, DNS, mail, FTP access, SSH. You can create, if you can create a simple shell script to determine what that process is and that it's available and live, you can import it in as a external test. So it's very flexible on what the external tests are capable of doing. And it's very easy to do, put those tests in here. As I go through create agents, I'll create some agents here and use this line. You'll see how I use it. So right now I'm going, since this is just a simple Windows box, I'm going to leave it just like that. It's not doing anything special, it's just a workstation. So we're going to save agent. And what it's going to do is it's going to go off to that Windows box and verify that BBWin's installed. If it's not, it's going to go install BBWin for us. Then it's going to configure it and get it all set up so that it's ready to start sending data back to the Magma server. It will then launch the services, and it will start having the system send data back. So we should start to see that machine shortly then, within a few minutes, show up in our console under our monitors. See how long this takes. Okay, it's installed it. Pushing out some configs, getting everything set up correctly. There we go. Restart the services, close the window down, and we're good to go. Now we're back to this our main window again. And you'll see now we have an agent. Awesome. Let's add a new one. This time we're going to add, let's go ahead and add a machine. Let's go ahead and select that one, good, right? We didn't do that one first. We already selected one piece. Okay. Let's select this one. Let's do the same thing, but let's do PowerShell this time. There we go. And now you're going to see it go off and do that. And while it's working on that, we have give you some information here. We have two extra buttons here. Clear, of course, will clear this all out so we can start a fresh new one. If we're just wanting to install a new one without this data here, it'll fresh this up. Drop host. If we have a host selected here, drop host, it's going to pop up. Actually, it doesn't matter if we have anything selected or not. Drop host will pop open a little box here. I'll show you that. Let's go ahead and go back to new agent. Drop test. All right. So basically what we have to do here for drop host is you select a machine. You notice here we didn't actually have a host and the host name. So we come in here and we would have to select a host. Select drop host, and what it will do is it'll go and basically drop the host on that mag server. If the host reports back in, it'll basically flush all the data on that host and clear out any data that host had, that agent had, it'll clear it out. Drop test basically clears out a test column. So if let's say you created a test, and it reported it in, then you don't want that test anymore, but that test is not going to report valid anymore, then drop that test will remove its data points so that it's gone from the system and no longer there. That will remove all the previous data points for that test. All right, we're going to create today, let's clear this out, we're going to create a agent list. All right, and we're going to call this one okay. All right, and network address, we don't really care. All right, because we're wanting it to do resolution on us, so we want it to pull out its address. So we're not going to really care about network address, because we're not going to do a ping to that address. All right, but we do want to test HTTP : whack whack. Okay. Save agent. And you'll now see it is under an agent list here. So we can come back in at any time and edit these machines. Just double click on it and it'll reload it and allow you to edit whatever you're doing for that particular machine as well. You can also delete an agent. Boom, removes it from the system. All right. From this point, everything else here is pretty clear. These are controls for pages that will be loading up here. Let's take a look here and see if we've got some data. All right, Super Mega Global, here we go. You'll notice we've changed. We're now yellow, and we have a space here. Magma is color driven, so anytime there's problems, it's going to be green, red, yellow. So it's going to start bouncing around based on, and you just saw it change right there, based on its activity. So as things are airing out and causing and having problems, you're going to get notifications in real time here that it's happening. We come in here and click on that, and you can see we've already got our machines loaded in here. One's already checking in. We're waiting for the other one to check in here. This one we just installed. It might take a few minutes to check in. But as we're looking at here, our first one's already checking in, giving us some data. That's great. You can come in here and see things like CPU, where we're at, what's running on the CPU. You can also get graphs. All right, we get things like trends. Okay, there you are, getting trends for data on that particular thing, HTTP responses, TCP usages, things of that nature, all sorts of good data. Let's say now we want to go over here, another client, and let's add an agent here. Sure, LT Dev, that's our dev server, is in the AWS cloud. Let's go ahead and select him. There we go. He can run BBWin, sure. This one, I'm not sure if we can ping that from the outside of the room. Now let me test here real quick. Oh, no ping, so we will keep that ping out. But this LabTech dev server does have a website, our LabTech website. I wanted to test that LabTech website. Yep, okay, so now if it was HTTPS, and I had an SSL on it, it would test that as well, but it would also include an SSL test that would test the validity of the SSL and give you an extra column to report back on saying the value of the SSL. So just by adding the S here to your HTTP, you can add a second test to your system. Save agent. All right, and this is where we apply an external test to an actual agent system versus a non-agent system, where a non-agent system is pretty much all external or other related tests through proxying through other devices that are going to do the testing for you. Now, we also support just about anything. So if you can create a tool that opens a socket and communicates on port 1984 from any device, you can literally tie any device you want into this. There are already pre-written Perl modules and Perl scripts available for doing this in Examon. There's stuff in Python, there's stuff in Bash, there's stuff in Corn Shell or Bourne Shell. Both Windows and PowerShell agents here provide a means to get data over to a Mag server for third-party scripting coming out of Windows boxes. So it's very flexible on where you can get your data and how you can get your data over to it. All right, that's now done and it closes out. We're back here and we now have an LTDev listed here. Excellent. So let that guy run, and what will happen is we're going to now see those show up. And you can see now our second server machine here is now talking. So we're now completely talking. We're just waiting for the LabTech plugin domain test to take place, and that will start to show up here. You can see our domain name's already there waiting. We can come in at any time, open status, and see that data right there. So if you want to go just by client, you can do that through the client console here on the client tab. And you can acknowledge alerts that are coming in. So you can see all the different alerts that are coming in and be able to acknowledge alerts that you set up. Okay, we can enable and disable tests. So let's say you have a problem with a machine and you know that its CPU is going to be in a critical state for quite a while it does something. You can come over here and select that machine, select CPU, give it a cause, backups, select the time that you want to disable, or for how long, or until it returns to an okay state again, and then apply it. And what it will do is it'll disable the alarm on it so it's no longer firing off, and it will change the color to blue for that item so that it's no longer being acting as an active resource against the alarming services here, causing color changes. So that's available. You can come in here and view any critical systems that you've set up. We haven't set any critical systems up. If you want to create the critical system, you can create them. There you go. Let's go back here. Go back to our main window here. We can go up to Magma for LabTech. All right. Now we have this thing called View Ghost. All right. And View Ghosts are basically machines that are coming back with information that are talking to LabTech, providing data, but are not listed here as a valid agent or agentless system in our network. This is a great tool to help you determine, one, who's sending you data that you haven't configured for, or if it's rogue, somebody sending you data that shouldn't be sending you data. Data just isn't accepted automatically. It has to have a matching candidate for that data to be accepted, and the matching candidate is matched by name. So you'll notice that this one here sees this LTDev 11, sees this candidate name, and it's going to basically on next cycle turn that into a client. And so that's going to go, oh, I know who that is, and goes off and connects to that and shows it in the list here. And it will come off of this ghost list here once that happens, and it usually takes a few minutes for that to take place. We have the ability to do metric reports, so you can come in here and see time slices of what data is available. We can do snapshots in time. So we can go back and say, I want to know what was happening July 18th, 2014 at this particular time and generate a report. Now, we don't have any data that far back because we just installed this thing. But we can do that and go right to that point in time. So if we have a customer says, what's going on with my systems at X? You can go back to X and get an exact accounting for what that machine was doing across all its counters during that period in time. Let's see here. We've got acknowledgments, current alarms, log events. Go ahead and see what kind of logs you're looking for. So if you want to go through and drill through all the different stuff that was being pushed through the system, you can. You can enable and disable systems here as well, just like you can at the client. View and edit critical systems here globally. All right, restart the services. So this is not going to restart the actual Linux box. This is restarting the LabTech system or the Magma systems. And reload is going to reload all your client data to make sure that your current system, whatever you have configured, is up to date with the Mag server itself. So any changes that you make at your client levels here to make updates here, if they didn't load for some reason, you can come in here and force that reload. Okay, so that's what that reload does, and it'll output here what it's doing. Let's go back here. We can always click refresh to bring us here, and you'll see us now. We're in red. All right, let's go take a look at red. Red says LT Dev. We got a disk and critical. Let's take a look at what that disk is. Looks like we're at 98% used. Our panic level is 95, so we are definitely over 95. So it's Z. All right, so Z is 98%. For right now, let's give you an idea of how to go about making that change. So we're going to go here, and we're going to acknowledge, or sorry, we're going to just enable disable. Pick LT Dev, disk, cause is a backup, disk, Windows is managing, so it's always going to be that way. So let's kill it for 4 weeks, or until OK. Actually, we have to do a particular date, so let's go ahead and say, let's make it a year from now, because that's never going to change. Apply. All right, now you'll notice here that we have a currently disabled test. This particular test is disabling disks. Here's the disable reason. It's going to be disabled until OK. We can always come back in here and re-enable it, highlight it, re-enable, or re-enable all. All would be everybody listed here. All right, and when we do that, we're now green again. You'll notice that our disk is blue. It's going to come back and say disabled. Still going to tell you where it's at. It's going to still report. So the data is always going to be here. It's going to continue to graph that data. So you're not losing any information, but you're just not alarming on it anymore. So you're able to control your color codes and what's going on and what is important to you and what's not important to you based on that level of information there. Come in here, you'll notice that by default, the MAG system that we've set up, the Magma Server, is also generating information, and it's generating different information based on what it's doing as well as some of its back-end services. So we can watch what's going on in the back-end and how that back-end is taking place. And if there's any problems with that, it'll show up here. So by default, we'll automatically graph and manage the MAG servers as part of the deployment. MAG server automatically gets dropped into the client that MAG server belongs to. So you'll notice by default, it didn't provide a group. It's a main source, the very top of the page for that particular client. that Magma server. This should normally be your client, your base one client, or whoever you are. And so this would be on your page, not any of your clients' pages. But in certain scenarios, maybe you want to use a client's machine to make this happen, or another instance inside your client list. And so you can do that. One of the nice things is in our trending, we showed you some trending here. We get some nice graphs based on different utilization. We get everything from CPU, we get disk, we get memory, we get user processes, TCP statistics, so we're sending packets and data transfers in and out. Nice thing about this is that you'll notice how my mouse is changing. I can click on that graph. When I click on that graph, I get the detailed version of that graph, which spreads out over 2 years, 600 days almost, right, that we can get that data. Now we can also, you can see here, we got a little magnifying glass we can use. We click on that magnifying glass and then use that glass. Blue, that's first. Use that there we go. Use the magnifying glass to grab a piece of data. I'm having a Java error for some reason. Interesting. We'll have to take a look at that. But as you can see here, we're able to graph and grab data points and drive that data down inside here. Very simple to use. Let's go ahead and go back to our main page. There we go. Let's go here. Let's go to memory. Let's click this guy. Let's click this guy. Yeah, there must be something with my machine here because this has only been showing up on my one server here. It must not like something that the Java scripting in the back end is doing. So again, we pull data, no problem. It's still working. I'm not really sure why it's showing that error, that Java error. That is a browser-based error since we're doing HTTP. So it could be something with this particular browser. I haven't seen that before. It typically works really well, and it is working actually because we can actually execute it, and it does go and get our data and change our points. So that is working like it should. And that's pretty much it. That's how we deploy the mag system out, get the data points going, and letting it roll. Pretty easy. We are working on some other features that are coming down the pike that you're going to see. And what you're going to see with those are these other two alert tabs here, which currently I haven't discussed anything about because we haven't completed those yet. But those will allow you to set custom alerts that you want to alert on based on each of the machines, as well as configuration of thresholds so that you can control thresholds of different alarms for different machines. So a prime example would be the machine that we had our panic level for the disk. Come in here and say that disk F panic level should be 99 at yellow, 100 at 100% as red, and that would constitute a directive back to the mag server to say, I'm only going to send a red alarm back with the disk when it reaches 99% or 100%. I'll send a yellow when it's 99, and I'll send it as green anything less than that. Right? So something as simple as that will allow you to also reset that monitor so that monitor knows what its minimum and maximum thresholds can be. We should be able to do that with just about anything, including mem, like mem. Same thing, mem we want is it's going to be 95 and 99, right? And that would say 95%, 99% are the yellow and red values for the thresholds for memory, for physical memory. This might be swap, so it might be things like that. So this is going to be available to you coming up in the updated versions coming out. We wanted to just get something out to you guys to start testing and playing with so that we can work out any other kinks that we might have in the main interface. Feel free to post on our support forums, support.plugins4 labtech.com. On this forum for the Magma system, any problems that you might have or anything you'd like to see, special processes or functions. We're going to be creating some script libraries and instructions on how to use both Windows and Linux systems to go and collect script data. Or data from other devices that you might have out there, like VMware servers. Prime example, be able to bring in the health of your VMware servers and have a VMware tab that's green that lets you know that your VMware hardware, your VMware software is in good health. You can set up RAID devices, SAN devices, NAS systems that are being checked, storage locations that are being checked, offline services and things of that nature that are being checked through agentless services, and put all those agentless items in here and monitor for all that stuff and bring that data back in and be able to do stuff with it. Then in alerts, be able to pipe the alerts that you're getting from this system over to some useful tool. Ideally, we want to be able to pipe it into LabTech as a ticket so that you can open up and close tickets, things of that nature, send emails, SMS alerts, different things like that. It allows you, based on a particular alarm that you're receiving, to be able to get those. So it might be anytime a particular test, maybe anytime con goes red, which is a ping test, or your DNS goes black. You get alerted for that information. SSL is about to expire. If you pick it, those alert directives will be passed down to the Magma system and allow you to do that as well. So some neat stuff coming in. We look forward to hearing from you guys on what you'd like to see. We look forward to building some neat third-party integrations for examining data for different devices on your network and such. So please feel free to share any scripting that you might be doing on the back end to do different monitors that you're connecting to, and make that available. There's a lot of resources on the web. If you do a Google search for XYMon, you will find a bunch of information on directives and how to set up configurations, set up monitoring special scripts and things that have already been created in the community. This has been a big community-driven process. There is a mail list out there for dealing with the back-end XMon system. So if you're interested in learning more about XYMon, please feel free to go out there and look at those resources. And then feel free to post on our forums if you have any questions or problems. Thank you very much. Hope to see you soon. Bye.